Hello. Hi guys, good morning. Can you hear me?
Morning.
I wait now. Guys, before we start, I want to ask. I noticed that few students this morning asked for a request to join this class. Is it because I haven't invited you or why? I want to know because I think I already invite. Oh, eh, wait, I haven't invited this guy. Huh? Who else just now? Uh, I think only you, right, Wong? Jeremiah. I think this file you can already access, except for the invitation. Hmm. Ivan, why you leave, Ivan? I think yeah, some of you, yeah, you need to accept my invitation. Okay, I think we can proceed. Anything else before we proceed? No, right? So let's proceed. So today or this week is week 5. Yeah, so week 5. So last week we already cover requirement capture. So this week we will start with requirement analysis. Okay. So requirement analysis. Okay. So in our cycle, requirement analysis is usually the second phase of our design phase because the first one is the last week chapter, which is requirement gathering or requirement capture. Yeah, requirement gathering or requirement capture. So this is usually the first phase. So requirement analysis is the second phase where we do analysis on what we already get during the requirement gathering. So in this chapter, we will learn why we need analysis or why do we need to analyze the requirement, and then what's the common technical terms that use with class diagram. So by this week you guys should already know what is class diagram because this one already covered in the, I think, first or second chapter. And then how the UML class diagram express a detailed model of a user requirement, how to realize use case with collaboration diagram and class diagram, and how the CRC technique helps identify classes and allocate responsibility. Well, CRC actually stand for class responsibility collaborators. So this one we will see later what CRC actually. So, mm, what is requirement model or why do we need requirement model? So, requirement model is needed to confirm what users want a system to do, or how actually what is the expected final product of their system or their product, and then specify what designer must design. This is the requirement model not only for the client, but it's also needed by the designer. So it's actually for both side, for both party. And then, um, what is recommend model, or what is the objective for recommend model, or why we need to do the model? So this is the most common one, or this is the main purpose of requirement model is to describe what a software must do, or to um, it's actually like a prototype to tell or to show to user or to client what a system or a software must do. Like I said just now, it's not only to our client or user, it's also for our designer. And then help analysts to understand what is going on in the system domain. So help analysts. Analyst is in a business project team. Analyst is actually uh, the one that involved to usually analyst is your BA, business analyst. So requirement model is needed for them so that they can get the overview or they can get the whole picture or the whole picture of your system. So it's easy for them to understand your system. And then show connection and interaction among people, things and concept. And then requirement model also or in requirement model, it will show what's the interaction or what's involved with your system or your like your environment of your system. So the current model usually shows the interaction between the human, things, and concept, and then show business situation that assists in design evaluation. Business situation is your environment or where you want to deploy your system or where you will put your system or application to. So it will help to get the overall business situation to design evaluation, and it is organized to be useful or designing software. Organized to be useful Organized to be useful for designing software. I'm not sure what's the meaning by this, but I think this is the overall view of why we need requirement model or why it is needed for us. And then in our requirement model, we have analysis class. So analysis class can be divided into three, which is boundary, entity, and control object. So uh, these are the different, or these are the, it's actually a role, but it is actually like an element for our analysis class. So the first one is boundary object. So boundary object is a model interaction between the system and actor. And then we have entity object. So for entity object, it's usually represent information and behavior of the application. And we have control object. So control object is mm, to tell what the system, it's like to tell what is the behavior of the system. But to make you guys understand about this object, I think I found a link on YouTube. So I think you guys should, yeah, I, I give you, I'm not sure what's the
You've
duration.
seen that classes, objects, and actors.
Oh, no, 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 no. Wait,
You've seen that classes, objects, and actors cannot be.
So the duration of this video is actually 3 minutes. So I give you until 10:21 to watch this video. So it's actually about boundary entity and control elements. So it's easier for you guys to understand. So I give you until 10:21. You guys watch first this video.
You've seen that classes, objects, and actors can all be participants in the interactions shown in a sequence diagram. Sequence diagrams also allow other elements to have lifelines and participate in interactions. These elements include boundaries, controls, and entities. In a sequence diagram, a boundary looks like this. A boundary represents a user interface screen or some kind of input-output device. And as you can see, the representation in the sequence diagram is a line, and to the right of that, connected by another line, is a circle. So when you see that symbol, it represents a boundary, some kind of user interface or input-output device. Another element that can participate in a sequence diagram is a controller, and that looks like this. Sort of an arrow that makes a circle pointing to itself. And a controller is defined as what controls the work that's done, as well as when and how that work is done. So you might think of a controller as an overseer that decides, for example, how the system should handle a user's request. You can also have an entity as a participant in interactions. And in this context, what an entity is some persistent element. That is something that gets stored, typically in a file. So an entity in a sequence diagram is typically implemented as a table or an element in a database. And as you see here, the entity symbol is a circle resting on top of a line. And all of these elements have their own lifelines, and all of them can participate in interactions. Here's an example that shows some of these elements in a sequence diagram. This is for an online merchandising system, and we have a customer who is an actor interacting with a boundary, an interface. Here that's an order screen. The order screen sends a get shopping cart message to the shopping cart element. That creates an item for the cart, adds it, and then deletes the item that it created. So here we see that the lifeline for this item ends right here in the sequence. And then we have the order screen send a get cost message to the order entity. That returns the cost to the screen, which, because it's an interface, shows it to the user. So you can see how these elements may be helpful in showing the precise interactions in a particular sequence.
So I assume all of you already watched the video just now. Noel, if Vincent is not here, it's okay because I think maybe he has his own difficulty. It's okay. So by right, you already by right the video just now. If you watch the video, you already understand what is the meaning or what does this object represent in our diagram and how to use them. Yeah, and how to use them. Because in the video they are short or she give you an example how to use them, this object. So boundary object is actually a model interaction that show what is the interaction between the system and the human. And then entity object is the information or behavior in the application domain. And then control object is like to tell what the system can do or the function of the system. And then we go to each of these element. So this is the notation of a boundary class. Notation is a symbol. So this is the symbol of a boundary class. Here they use the example is the user interface. So this is the symbol to represent or to like it's like a partition. It's not partition. It's like partition between the actor, which is the user, the human, and the system. So this is the symbol, this is the notation that we will use in our diagram. So that's for boundary class. And then we have entity class. So this is the notation of entity class. So in our diagram, this is our class diagram. This is the example of entity class. Entity class is to entity class is to it's not to tell. Oh, it's to represent the information, to represent your information of your diagram. And then next we have a control class. Control class, this is the notation. And control class is used to tell what the system can do or what is the expected function. So this is your example for control class. So basically there are only three, which is boundary class, entity class, and the last one is control class. Okay. So you need to remember what is the notation or what is the symbol for each of your class so that you can use it correctly in your diagram if they ask you to use. So do you guys oh it's okay, Vincent. So before we proceed, do you have any question? No?
No.
Okay, let's proceed. So we proceed to class diagram. So by right, you should know, at least you guys should know how it's look like for class diagram because this class diagram we already touched in chapter 1 or chapter 2. I think it's chapter 1, the overview of OOAD. So this is your class diagram. And then I think this is too basic for us in OOAD because I think class diagram is something that it's too basic for us. So we at least need to know what is class diagram and what are the compartment or what's the content of class diagram. So this is example of our class diagram. Here we have class. So here, yeah, you can look at this part. So class name compartment. So basically we have three or even two sometimes. Usually at least we have two, which is the class name and the attribute. This is the operation. Operation sometimes for some class diagram, they don't have this part. So here, this example, so our class diagram is the client. So this is our class name. And then this is the attribute. Usually here, the object, they have their own value. That's mean, for example, here company address will hold its own value, company email hold its own value, and each of these will hold its own value. And then the last one, but sometimes you will see a class diagram without this compartment, this operation. Operation is operation in class diagram is like what is the operation that expected to perform by this object here, or any message to display if they have any message. So they will state here in this last compartment. But at least in your class diagram, you need to have your name and your attribute. So you need to remember this. This is too basic for us, the class diagram. So this is an example of our class diagram. So we have client as our class name here. And then, like I said just now, each of these attributes should have their own value. They should hold their own value. So company address should hold this value. Company telephone should hold this value. And then for this particular class, they don't have any operation or any message to display. So instance do not have operation. So at least you have to the name and your attribute for your class diagram. This one. Okay. I think that's quite easy. So let's move to each of the element in your class diagram. So the first one just now, you need to have your class name, which is the client just now. And then on the second compartment or second part, we have attribute. So attribute is the part of the essential description of a class. And then attributes is actually, yeah, it's a description of your class. And then the common structure of what the class can know. Can know is what's the value they should hold in their, this one. They should know or they should hold this value. So that's the attribute. And then each object has its own value for each attribute in its class. So that's mean like in our previous example, so each object hold their own value for each attribute in its class. So that's the attribute. And then the last compartment or the last part on the bottom one is the operation. So operation is something that class can do, or what is the operation? Yeah, operation or action that they need to do. And then the common behavior that's shared by all objects of the class. That's mean in that operation here, here in this operation, this is the common operation that all of these objects can perform. So they will display here if they have one. And then the common, where is it? So the common behavior shared by all object of the class, and then services that object of a class can provide to other object. That's basically operation. And then let's see what are the common or typical operation in the class diagram. So usually this is the set of operation or function that can or that will be displayed on that compartment. So usually they will set or reveal attributes values, or maybe they have any calculation for them to perform. And then usually this is the most, not the most common one, but usually in that part they will show like what's message to display for other object, and then create or destroy links. So these are the common operation by a class diagram. So basically you need to remember that three part, which is the class name, your attribute, and your operation for your class diagram. If you already, no, I think none of you guys reach this part for your assignment. No, none of you. So this is your class diagram. You will use this letter in your assignment. And then we have this example of our class diagram, which the class name is our the class name for our diagram is campaign, and this is our attribute, and this is our operation. So here the class name is campaign, and our attribute is description of a class. No, that's mean what's this object should hold. So each of these object should hold its own value. So they should have their own value for each and every single one of these. And then this is the operation or what a class can do. So this is like an operation, behavior, or service that this particular class diagram should perform. So they have four here. First, they should check the budget and they should get campaign contribution or record payment and set completed. So this is are the action that they should perform or what they can do. Okay. And then before we move to association, do you guys have any question on your class diagram?
I know.
Okay, cool. So let's proceed to association. So what is association? Association is the possibility of a logical relationship. So this is your keyword for your this term, a relationship or connection between object of one class and object of another. And then if two objects can be linked, their classes have an association. So referring to the term here, association. So association is your relationship or connection between your object or your class. So we will see what connection is. So here in our example here, so here in our example, yeah. Why? Since when? Okay. I think this part, the class diagram, you should okay already. So let's I start back with association. So association is your relationship and your connection between your classes. So referring to the term, you should know what's the basic meaning of association. So association in UML class diagram is your relationship or connection between object or classes. Okay, that's the definition or what association is. And then let's move to, okay, so let's move to here. This is an example of association. Here we have, I want to ask this guy, Kon Ken Shak. From this example, what is your entity name for this UML class diagram? You know, this class diagram, what is your entity name? You asking me? Yes, it's a staff. So entity name for this class diagram is staff. This is your entity name, class diagram. Entity name for your class diagram is staff. So I want to ask what are the attribute for this staff diagram, class diagram? I want to ask. Celine. I remember you, Celine. So Celine, what is the attribute for this class? Mm, Celine, are you here? This one, right? Celine. So what is the, yeah. So what is your attribute for this class? Do you know? Or staff name? Mm, Noel, do you know, by the way, what is the attribute for this class? Or how many attribute do you have?
Three.
Yes, three. So you have three attribute for this class name, which is this one, staff name, staff number, and staff start that. So these are your attribute and these are your name. Celine, correct, your attribute is staff name. And what is your operation for this class? Anyone? What is your operation? Let's see. Elvin. Yeah. Or is it this now? Elvin. What is your operation for this class? Or do you have any operation for this class? No operation. Yeah, correct. No operation. So this is your class diagram. So your name of your class diagram is staff, and these are the three attribute of your class diagram, and you have no operation here. You have no operation or any message to display. This is empty. Correct. So association is the link, or how does this one class diagram is associate or link with another class. So you use this or we use this link to show the connection. So here, as you can see, association role, the association role is the staff contact, and then the association is this one, and liaise with, this is your association name, and the direction of your name should be read. But let me give you example. Mm, in the overall view of your diagram, do we have example here? Because here they only show you between two class diagram. Is it my thing? So uh, actually, kenapa dia tutup? But actually this is in your diagram, right? Actually, this is how you show your connection or relation between class of diagram. So this means here this car model, the entity car model is uh, associate with this class, which is car, and same goes to this one. So basically, this is how you connect your class diagram later in your assignment, because I think most of you should have more than one class diagram. So this is how you link them, or this is how you show what's the connection between the classes. Okay. Yeah, that's how. But this example, they only show you two class diagram. So Yeah, basically that's how you write or you show what's the connection, what's the association between your class diagram. And then we move to link. So link, same with no link and association is different. Okay, so link show what is the connection between two instances. So you do not get confused between link and association. They are both, I mean, association also show what is the relation or the connection between your class diagram using this line. Same goes to link, but link is the connection between two instances. So you need to know what is the difference between link and association. So this is example of a connection between instance, this one here and this one here. So that means this instance have a link between this instance and this instance, or this instance have a link between one another. Okay. So link and association is different. And then we move to multiplicity. Okay, let's move to multiplicity. So, mm, so associations have multiplicity. So multiplicity actually is like association is a connection or relationship. So association can have multiplicity. Multiplicity is like a one to many, many to one, or what? What's the term? Have you guys ever heard like a connection or relationship like one to many or many to one to one? Do you know that? Yeah. So mm, then that's great. So that's the definition here in this context. So they can have multiplicity. Yeah. So it's like to show how many objects can involve in a relationship. That's the definition, like one to many or many to many. So here, multiplicity is the range of permitted cardinalities of an association. So here, usually in our diagram, we have this form of connection or association. So the first one, let's take a look into each of this. So the first one, we have a definite value. Definite value is something like this. So this is definite value. And then indefinite value. Indefinite value is, for example, you want to show your connection between 0 to any number. So you use this indefinite. This is the symbol of indefinite. Yeah, for example, your connection is, or your range is between 0 to indefinite value. So this is the indefinite value. And then next we have range of value. Range of value, that means there's specify your range between 5 and 15 or 0 and 1. So this is the range value, and set of value. Set or value is, they are more specific. That means they are set. This is the value of your association. Yeah. So how do we read this multiplicity? So for example, these are the most frequent multiplicity. So it's like from 0 to 1. This is the range of your value. And then 0 to indefinite, and then only 1, or 1 to indefinite, and only indefinite value. But we look into each of these later. So basically, that's how we read, or what is the multiplicity in association. So here we have an example of class diagram. One. Okay, here is the example. So represent enterprise for business rule. Okay, so we have a bank customer. Okay, so here we have two class, which is customer and account, and we have an association here between these two class. So, mm, we read this way. Customer, we go to the first one first. Any bank customer may have one or more account. So here, bank customer may have one. We read from this to this, one or more bank account. And then we reverse back. So each account can only have one and only one customer. It's like from, it's you read from this one to this one. Wait, I show you guys how to read. So we read this way. So customer, or yeah, customer may have one or more. So this is one, this is indefinite value here. So it's one or more account. And then from this account, we reverse back to here. So account, every account is for one, because this is a definite value. So one and only one customer. That's how we read from this one, from this class to this value here and to this class. And then same goes to this one, from this class to this value here and then to this class. So that's how we read. You guys understand or not?
Oh yeah.
Never, never mind, we see again. So that's the first example. And then we have another example here between the staff member and the client class. So do we have, okay. So this one, I want to ask, you don't read from this. I want to ask how to read this one. Vera Vincent, do you understand how to read this diagram? Or how do you read this one? What is the association between this class and this class? Staff member. Uh, uh, uh. Vera Vincent, do you know how to read? So staff member can have or liaise with zero. Anyone know how to read the diagram? Jonathan Ian, do you know? Eh, he left my class. Ian, do you know how to read this one, this diagram? No, no response. Jeremiah, who is this? Wong. A staff can manage none or many clients. Yeah, this is correct. That's mean a staff member can liaise or manage, or yeah, a staff member can liaise or yeah, can liaise or manage zero, which is none, or more than zero client. Is that what I'm answering? None or many. Not none or many client. It's at least none, which is zero, or more clients. Here. zero or more clients. That means they have any value here after zero. So one staff member can liaise with or manage with zero, at least zero or many client, but client can only liaise with one and only staff member. Zero or more client. Zero or more. Is it what I say? Yeah. So that's how you read. Actually, to read this, that means this is at least zero, at least zero too many. Here, let's mean at least zero to any value. So if here is one, then at least one to or more than one. So that's how we read. And then let's move to association degree. So what is degree? Degree is actually let me think what's the basic definition of degree is level. Yeah, level. So association degree is actually your association level. So in your association, you can have basically three level. The first one is unary, binary, and ternary. So unary or the connection between unary is actually the connection between the same class. We will see later, but let me brief you guys first. Unary is the connection between the same class, and then binary is actually your connection or association between two class. And then the last one is ternary. Ternary is your association or relationship between two or more class. So the first one is unary between the same class, and then binary between two object or two class, and ternary is between two or more, two or more class or object. So you need to remember these three for your degree, or actually for your level of your association. Degree is actually level, level of your association. Okay, this one exercise you need to do later to test your understanding. So I leave this part for you guys to do on your own, okay? Any exercise in lecture. So this is example for the first degree of association, which is unary. Like I said, or do they have beta? Or they don't have explanation. But unary is actually, okay, here, okay, here we have our class diagram, which is employee. So for unary class or degree of association, that means this association is only between this class. So unary is a relationship or association between your own class. So for example here, employee. Employee here, Daniel. Daniel, are you there? I want to ask you how to read this. Yeah, how do you read this? How do you read this association? From employee to employee. So how do you read? Employee, and then you read, do you know how? Never mind, let me explain this diagram for you. So here is a class of diagram for employee. So for unary, for unary level of association, it's a relationship or connection between its own class. So here, how do we read this? From employee, right? Employee, here you see can be managed by zero or one employee. That's mean the manager of this employee is between the same class. So employee can be managed by none or zero or one employee. Same goes if you reverse from this one. So employee, you go to here, can be managed of zero to definite value or zero or more value of employee. So that's how you read. Okay. Yeah, Paris say no electricity again. It's okay for him. So actually, for this particular diagram, it's actually combining two concepts. First is how we read our diagram, and then second, it shows what is unary. So what's unary is actually you need to know that the connection between its own class. That's mean they are within their own one class. So that's for this level. Then we move to the second one, which is binary. Like I said, binary association is a connection or relationship between two object of between two class. That means here one, we have one class here and then we have another class here, which is teacher and course offering. So mm, I want to ask someone for the last time. Nathan, how do you read this diagram? Nathan, do you know how to read from this to this? Teacher can teach. Anyone? Other way around. Does the teachers and taught by not verbally? Does the teacher? No. Oh, Noel, what do you mean? Actually, hmm, Noel, turn on your mic. I got typo. No, actually, macam ni. Actually, okay, this is how we read. I think many of you guys are hibernating in my class, right? Because no response. Hmm, 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 hmm. Actually, here, okay, this is how we read. Teacher, teach. This is a course. So teacher, teach. None or more than one, none or more than zero. Course. Then we read from this to this is course offering or course subject is taught by one or more than one teacher. Okay. For this one, for this connection, teacher, teacher is in charge, teacher is in charge of zero, none or more than zero subject. And then we read from here, a subject is managed by one and only one teacher. So from this to this, and then from this to this. Okay, Alvin, not L. One or more teacher has zero, one or more teacher has zero or more course offering. One or more zero. One or more teacher has zero. You see from this to this actually, teacher has or teach zero or more than zero subject. And then you read from here. Subject is taught by one or more than one teacher. That's how you read. Okay, guys. Anything? Any question before we move?
Uh,
No. Okay. Yeah. That's how we read. So this is ternary, which is our last level or last, yeah, association degree is the last one is ternary. Ternary is a relationship or a connection between more than two class. So here the previous one we only have two class here, which is teacher and course offering, and then now in this part or in this example we have how many of class here? This is too easy, but I want to ask this guy, how many of class here? As you can see, how many of class do we have here? Content chart four, correct. So we have four class here, which is part, vendor, and part, vendor, shipment, and warehouse. So we have this connection. So they have one, two, three connection between these four class. So that's ternary class. But this one I can say for this level is a complex level or complex degree of association. Okay, for this example, because they have more than two class, so it's quite complex. Oh yeah, here, complex association. So here, complex association is any number or multiplicity marked with this indefinite, yeah, indefinite value. That's mean many to many, indefinite value to indefinite value. So here, person, no, here person can borrow person can borrow indefinite value of book, and same goes to book can be borrowed by indefinite value of person. So this is many to many relationship. So how do we settle or how do we tackle this association is by using association class and qualified association. Okay. So the first one, what is association class? So association class is used in analysis phase to solve many to many relationship. So this is indefinite to indefinite value of relationship. And then association get coded as a class, and the name of association must be the same as the name of original association itself. So we will see, this is just for us to read, but we will see what's the example or what is the explanation of association class. So this is how we tackle many to many relationship or complex association by using association class. So here, as you can see, this is many indefinite value to indefinite value. So indefinite value of person can borrow indefinite value of book. So how do we solve? It's not a problem, but how do we fix this? It's not issue, but how do we fix this complex association by using this? Okay, so this is what we call as an association class. Originally, we have this diagram, which is only two class, which is person and book. But we have or they have a complex association. So we create another class, which is association class. So here is your class, which is borrow, class name, which is borrow. So borrow is another class now. You guys understand? You guys understand or not? From this complex association, we create this borrow into another class. So this is your association class. So in your association class here, you have from that and to that borrow of your book. So that's mean we create another class within our association class. That is the first way or first method to solve this complex association. And then, oh, we still have more explanation here. Like I said just now, we create a new class which is association borrow class. So here, this one, the one that I said just now, we create another class which is borrow now is an individual class. Okay, so mm, here, because this now, the original diagram, it's many to many. But since we have a new class here, so the way we read is person can borrow zero or more than zero. Zero, yeah, zero or more than zero. And then from this borrow, they can have one and only book. One and only book. Yeah, that's how we read. Actually, for this kind of class, we read from this to this. We don't skip like just now, like many to many. Instead of many to many, we split this one as an individual class. So that's how we come with association class to solve your complex association. So that's one is association class is one of them. And then next we have a qualified association. Hmm, 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 hmm. Qualified association is let's see, this one. But let's go to this first. So here, qualified association. So assign a unique attribute or value or qualifier. That's mean we need to come out or we need to assign with a unique attribute or unique value. For example, here we have an example here. A bank has many customer, but each customer can have accounts at many bank. Bank has many customer, but each customer can have account at many bank. Okay, here. This is the explanation of this diagram. That's mean here, one bank can have many customer, referring to this indefinite value. So one bank can have many customer. So, and customer can open account at many bank. Okay, that's how we read. Bank can have many customer, and then customer, which is us, we can open account at many bank. So that's the explanation for this one. So what is qualified association, or how does this qualified association involve with this complex association? The term is quite confusing, but okay. From the bank's perspective, this situation is resolved. Okay, this one, from bank perspective, the situation is resolved each time because each customer is given a unique customer number. In bank, or this is just your knowledge. In bank, what do we do is each of us, for example, me, under my name for in one bank, for example, in bank A. In bank A, I open an account in bank A. So this bank A, will identify me, Narshikin, with one unique value, what we call as CIF ID, CIF, Customer Information File, if I'm not mistaken. So I have this CIF ID. So this CIF ID is unique to my IC number. So that's how they identify me. So that's how bank identify us actually. And then at any time the bank needs to refer to the customer reference attribute on the class act as index to the customer concern. So anytime that they want to refer to me, or they want to refer to my details or my record, they will refer to my customer reference, or in bank we call as CIF ID. So this SIP ID is the unique ID for each of customer. So if you have account at any bank, by right you should have your own SIF ID. But usually SIF ID or your unique ID is not disclosed to even you. Oh no. Sometimes in our receipt, if we do a transaction, they will state what is our SIF ID. But usually only the bank know what is your SIF ID because SIF ID is unique. So this is just explanation from bank perspective. So here, um, but bank can have more customers. So bank customer. This is the explanation or the diagram from the just now. So here, bank can have many customer, and then customer can have many account at bank, but customer is identified using customer reference in a bank. Hmm, how do I explain this? Customer have customer ID. Guys, do you understand? Here, I assume that you know already how to read the diagram. But for this one, customer um, is identified using uh, customer reference or unique ID at one bank.
Yeah.
Uh, you need to know how to read the diagram. Then you can only know what is it mean by this one. So this is the qualified association. That's mean we assign a unique value or unique identifier for our class. So each of this class or each of this customer, for example, I am the customer of this class, then I will be identified by using this customer reference by this bank, by any bank. That's how you read. So that's for qualified association. And then we have more example here. Qualified association, the customer can have many account with different banks, but customer know that they can always refer to the exact bank they want by using bank unique code. So here, different with the here the unique ID is at the bank. So now the unique ID or the unique attribute is here on the customer. So customer can have many account with different bank. So customer can have many account at different bank. But customer know that they can always refer to the exact bank by using bank code. Customer what they can always refer to the exact bank by using the bank unique code. That's mean actually for me no. Actually the explanation is quite simple, but because the term here, that's mean we know the exact bank that we want by using the bank's unique code. They shouldn't use this example. Um, Here, wait, is it possible to have two unique attribute at both sides? Uh, one unit, one unique attribute only. Actually, can, but it's going to be complex. So usually we will, or even myself, we will only use one unique attribute at both sides. Is that mean customer can have only one unique code? Yeah, customer can have one and more unique code. Your question is the same, right? Customer can have one or more. Customer can only have one unique code. Only one. This one, okay? Okay. So actually that's how. I think this one, you need to understand, but I won't blame you guys because here they use bank. Bank is quite complex. So you guys just read this or maybe you can Google for more explanation. But that's how we deal with complex association, which using the class association and qualified association. Maybe later as you go or as you proceed with your assignment, then maybe you will use this class. Maybe you will understand. Okay. So now we move to discovering entity class. Uh, Entity class. So what is entity class? Entity is actually a entity. Entity is an entity. I mean, like, never mind. So how do we identify what is entity class in our class diagram? First, by using noun phrase approach. So we identify the entity using this phrase, which is noun, and then we identify them by using the common class pattern. Common class pattern we will see later, and then use case realization or use case driven. That's mean from use case. And then CRC, the one that I said just now, CRC is class responsibility collaboration approach. So this four are the method to identify or to discover our entity class. So we look we will look at the first one, which is non-phrase approach. So entity entity usually they will use a noun phrase. So every noun phrase is candidate class, and then each candidate can be classified or can be divided into three types, which is relevant, fuzzy, and irrelevant. Okay, so it can be classified into three, which is relevant, fuzzy, and irrelevant. So each of these you need to know how to use or what are they. So the first one is relevant. So belong to the problem domain. Problem domain is actually your area of your problem or your focus. And then the second one, they are not clear on their class. So they need to go for more analysis. So this one, because they are not clear on what their class, so they need to go for their further analysis. And irrelevant class. So that means it's not related or it's an outside from problem domain or your problem or your area of your problem. So these are the three class using the non-phrase approach. And then we'll look. Okay, here we have an example of non-phrase approach. For example, here we have an enrollment for a university. So let's take or consider the following requirement for the university. But each university number. Example, university enrollment. This is class, this is class. So each university degree has a number of components in the number. Wait. So belong to the class. Okay, so here they have two class, which is relevant and fuzzy. So let's take a university enrollment as an example. So we consider the following requirement for the university enrollment system and identify the candidate class. So each university degree has a number of compulsory courses and a number of elective courses. So here, this is our domain of our problem. So we can classify into two, which is the relevant and fuzzy. Fuzzy is something that is not, for example, on this case, compulsory course or elective course. So this is something that referring to this, fuzzy is something that we need to see for further analysis. In this case, we need to see for more courses. So that's fuzzy, and relevant is something that or something that belong to this case. So this is relevant because this is in our. I think the way I'm explaining this is quite confusing, but what you need to understand is this type of class. So if you understand this type of class, so you know how to apply in any given situation actually. So I think for this particular patch, you just read on your own. But if you have question, you can ask me. Okay, guys? Okay?
Okay.
I'll take it as okay. Then we have the second one. So common class pattern. So we can identify entity class using the common class pattern. Pattern is something that in this context, pattern is actually what the common, yeah, the common type or common class. So it is derived candidate classes from the classification theory of an object. Like I said just now, it's the common classification or common, the one that commonly used. And then um, here we have an example on airline reservation system. So one possible classification for this particular system is uh, concept, event, organization, people, and place. But this one, actually, wait, let me think. Nine possible classification pattern and line narration. So this is for this one, common class pattern. Hmm, referring to the term common class pattern is something that is common for your class. So for example, here your class or airline reservation system, hmm, concept class example, the common class is your reservation. Event class example, arrival. So for example, I do not know how to explain this too, but this is your example. So for example, we have this class. So the common one that actually, I think for you guys to understand this term just now and this term just now is not hard because I think only the example is confusing or it's hard to understand and hard as well for me to explain. For example, here you have an online reservation system. So the common class for this concept class is your reservation. And then, guys, can I? Mm, 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 mm. I'm not sure how to explain this, guy. Guys, can I leave these two part to you guys to read? Uh, non-phrase approach and this common class pattern. Because this one is just to identify or how to discover our entity class. So I'll leave this part to you guys to read. So next we have a use case realization. So we will cover this more on chapter 6, but what is use case realization or how do we use this to identify our entity class? So use case realization is used to collaborate between the class diagram. We will see later. And then it requires identification of a possible set of class or how those classes interact to deliver the functionalities of the use case. So use case realization actually is a collaboration on how is the interaction between classes deliver or perform their function. So this is use case realization. We will cover this more on, I think, within next 2 weeks in chapter 6. But here is the brief. It's like a briefing for you guys. So here we have an actor here, and then we have a use case. This is a use case. So use case realization. So add a new advert to a campaign. So this is a situation where we want to, oh, this is a situation or This is a situation or use case for us to add a new advert to campaign. Advert is like what the advert? I forgot already the term. It's like apa iklan? Iklan in English is what iklan, guys? What already? Yeah, advertisement. Okay. So it's like an advertisement. So we want to add a new advertisement or advert to campaign. So first here we have a step one here. So this is our use case diagram to advert to a campaign. Advert to add new advert to a campaign. So this is our first step. This is just example. And then still in the same use case, so we want to add a new advert to a campaign. Then step two, we use or we show what is the collaboration or what's participant, who are the participant for our new for our use case. So here, as you can see from the use case diagram just now, we add this entity. Yeah, we add this entity or we add what's needed to this class or use case. So the line here indication of class participation. That means each of these entity is participate to this use case diagram to assign a new advert to a campaign. So it's like a collaboration between this entity to this use case. And then next we have uh I think the skip. It's not the skip. I think they want to, because from this step, then suddenly they come out with a prototype. But this one later we will see in chapter 6. Uh, from this level, then they skip or they just jump to this part. Then suddenly they come with a prototype. So this is your prototype for your use case just now. I think this one, if I'm not mistaken, this prototype I already explained in chapter, I don't remember which chapter, but I think we use the exact same prototype. So here, as you can see, this is only a prototype. So they have this first prototype. This is the dialog initialize. And then this prototype is to ask user to select which client, and then we'll display what is the campaign for that particular client. So users select client and then the campaign listed. So this is only example for our prototype. This one already explained. But this is nothing much actually. This is just an example from prototype. But what's important is from this step to this step. But it's already, I think they jump from that part to this part. But we will see this later in chapter 6. Same with this one. They're still using the prototype to add a new advert to campaign. This is still under the prototype. So what's the prototype here? User select campaign. After we select our client, they will display the campaign. And then, oh, okay. So from the prototype here, first the users select on the client. And then after they select on the client, they will show what's the campaign. And the campaign will be listed here. And then we need to select on the campaign. And then we will add the advert here. Okay. So basically that's that for this part. And then this is how to add your campaign on your prototype. I don't think this is important. This is just like a step actually. I don't think this is relevant or important to this discovering entity class. But yeah, this is the example of your prototype. And then here, I think this is the most important part for us. So use case realization and then add a new advert to a campaign still in the same use case. So this is the overall or the diagram that show the collaboration all of your entity in your diagram. So here you have your actor and then 5.4 create now select. So this is your use case, but so this is your actually collaboration diagram. Collaboration diagram is collaboration diagram shows the entity or anything that involved with your diagram. So that's collaboration diagram, which also show you what is the link or the association between your instance. So this is important for you guys to know how to write or how to draw this diagram. Hmm. So the next one we have is use case realization. Use case realization. If I'm not mistaken, this one is, yeah, from the use case here. Use case realization is use case driven. That's mean we come out the diagram, but we come out the diagram based on the use case. For this one, if you understand or you do already your assignment, you should know already how to come out with this diagram. But this one is the detailed one. So one of the way to discover our entity is from the use case. So this is the example of use case realization. I won't touch more because we will go this in one chapter later. So basically, this is use case realization. And then this one, we have class diagram. Let me think. Entity, class. So, so here, as you can see here in this example or in this step, they already combine or they come out with a mm, full, no, it's not full. They combine all the concept that we touched just now from earlier of this lecture, which is the boundary control entity class. And then they use the connection or this show what is the association between this class from one use case. So use case realization, that means you come out this diagram from your use case. It's driven by your use case. Okay. So that's this part. Actually, I won't touch more because we will go in one chapter later. So this is just a step or a method to identify your entity class. And then the last one, we have class responsibility collaboration to have model interaction between objects. So this CRC card is actually to is another way or another approach to show what is the interaction or your association between your object. So for example, actually for this method, there's no diagram or no. They got one. They don't have a diagram like the previous method because hmm, actually for a given scenario, CRC is very rare. It's not rare, but usually we don't have any document for this. But this is a given scenario or example. So brainstorm, allocate, role play, act out the use case, or identify the record missing. So usually this one will only use like verbally. We don't really have any document for this, but the result of this we will document. We will documented this result, but usually for this we don't have any. You just need to understand the concept. There's nothing to illustrate. There's nothing to draw, except for the result. So we will move to this part first. So this CRC card is suitable for verification of classes discovered with other method and the determination of class properties. So you need to know for this part what's important for the CRC card. CRC card is you need to know or You need to understand to wait, how to come. This part is quite easy because it's more or less like your use case description. You need to, what's the term I used last time? You need to extract your information into this table like your use case description. So here you have your noun, or your class name, and then here is your responsibility, or we will see later what is this, but this is the overall view of your CRC card. So you have your name, you have your responsibility, and you have your collaboration. Collaboration is another object or class or any participant that involved with your class. So responsibility is an operation actually. So here is the example of your CRC card. So first we have a entity class name, which is client. So this client is responsible to provide client information, provide list of campaign. And these are the entity that involved with this class name, which is client. So campaign provide campaign details. Name campaign responsibility, this one person. Wait, first. So, okay. So this is your name, this is your responsibility, and this is collaboration or any description that involved in your collaboration. You need to see, actually, I'm not familiar with this one too, because I never use this one in my task. So, oh, so they will list what is the participant of your collaboration, and they will give you a brief description of the purpose. Oh, okay. Campaign provide campaign details, campaign advert provides. Okay, so this part, they will identify or they will list out what is your description of your participant. So that is CRC card. Actually, honestly, I'm not really sure where do we apply this CRC card because I never really used this before. But for the previous, yeah, I'm not sure this card or this item. I'm not sure where to apply. So this is another example of CRC card advert responsibility. Provide advert information. Construct advert constructor. Yeah. So basically, this is your CRC card. I'm not sure to how to apply, but maybe later with your progress of your assignment, we will see how do we apply this CRC card into your assignment. So that's the end for chapter 3, chapter 4. So that's the yeah, chapter 4. So that's the end for chapter 4. So what we already covered in this chapter. So we already understand why we need to do the analysis requirement. And then the technical terms used with the use class with class diagram and how the UML class diagram express detailed model of user requirement, how to realize user case, and how the CRC technique helps to identify classes and allocate responsibility. Why? So you have exercise here. You need to do this exercise. I still cannot move on from CRC because they highlight here in this summary here how the CRC technique helps to identify. I'm not sure how to use this one, but never mind. You do this exercise. For this chapter, we only have one exercise. So actually for each of your lecture, I uploaded your exercise. Mm, okay. So for your exercise, mana? So here I think no, because we already covered three chapter already. So I will upload your. This is actually your sample. This is actually a sample answer for each of the exercise in our lecture. So I will upload one exercise for each week, for each lecture. So you need to do your exercise because for your exam, because you have exam, right, for this one, I'm not sure what kind of question they will ask. So this exercise is important for you guys to see or to test yourself how far did you understand for that chapter. So that's for your exercise. And then tutorial 2, I noticed that I noticed in our class most of the time you only covered few tutorial, right? Or few tutorial question. So no, because we don't have enough time, because we still need to discuss about your progress present assignment progress some more. So sometimes you only cover few questions. So for tutorial question, I suggest and I strongly suggest you guys to do to finish it before class to save our time, so that each of our tutorial class we only discuss on the answer. And for our previous class, for our previous tutorial, I already uploaded. So far I only have 3 answer here, because we only covered 3 chapter or 3 tutorial. So that's the first, the second, and then this one is your tutorial and your exercise for your lecture, and then this is your assignment. I want to touch, or I want to highlight this part, this part of your assignment. So you need to submit your first part of your assignment on week 7, which is early on August. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So early on August, you need to send your first part of your assignment. Guys, can we have, we continue at 10, wait, guys, later we continue. Let's have a break first. Hello. Hi guys. Um, can you hear me right?
I
So, sorry, sorry. So just now I already touched on your assignment on your. You can see my screen. Okay. So I already touched on your assignment and on your tutorial exercise. You can find it here. The answer for what we already covered only for the tutorial and exercise. That is that part. And then for your portfolio here, portfolio or your part for your assignment, you need to submit in week 7. Week 7 is around early of August, 5, 6, 7. I think by right this week. So for your first part of your assignment, tutorial, tutorial 4. Tutorial 4, I think I haven't upload tutorial 4. I will upload by right this week, end of this week. So, because for this subject you have assignment and exam. So on your exam, there's nothing I can do to help you guys because I don't expect to see any of my student in this class or in my other class to fail. So for your exam, I'm not the one who design your examination paper or exam question, so I do not know what to expect, and I do not have any hint to drop for you guys because me myself I haven't see what's the question. So what I can do to help you guys in your assignment? So I come up with a. So what I suggest to you guys is for your assignment, because you have 50%, right? So for your assignment, what I can help you is, or what I suggest you is, for each of your team, because currently so far now I think all of you already send me your progress of your assignment. But I want to remind, because there are few, I'm not sure from which subject. Is it this OOAD or research method? You need, I think it's the best if you send me with a Google document. Do not send me with a Word, because that's not efficient, I guess. Send me with a Google Doc. So what I want to suggest to you guys is, for each of this part, for example, okay, by right, we are in week 4, right? You guys can see right my screen.
I
We do tutorial for, yeah, do tutorial for this week. So by right, this week we already in week 4. So by right, you already have until this part. So what I suggest you guys, what I suggest to you guys in your assignment or in your progress, you send me, not you send me, for each of this week, week 1, week 2, week 3, and this week 4, I give you mark based on your current progress. Do you understand? For example, you already provide me, most of you already provide me with functional list. So I evaluate your mark based on this. But no, yeah, I evaluate your mark based on this specification. And then I return your document to you so that you can, for example, if you cannot score full mark here, for example, you can only tackle 3. Now what I'm saying. Okay. So it's like I give you mark based on your current progress. But there's one rule that you need to follow, which is every week you just need to send me with one or once only. Uh, no, let me think. You can only submit to me your assignment progress once a week. Uh, mm. Do you guys understand or not?
yeah,
Do
understand.
not,
Actually, previous time
be,
also do like this.
yeah, because not all, but some of you send me like in a day. I do not know how many times you send me with a link. So I don't think that will work. So if you want me to evaluate your assignment until this week 4, you send me with a proper documentation. Yeah, you send me with a proper documentation, not some like not in there for me to read. So you send me, so I will comment or I will give you mark based on your current progress or current document.
So
Is it
send
okay with
the
you guys?
full PDF.
It's not full PDF. You can use Google link. What I mean is send me with a proper way of you submitting your assignment, not some random notes in the. I cannot show you example, but you send me with a Google document, and then I will show you what's your current mark for each of your week, so you can
Mm,
improve. That's all.
okay.
You understand on? Okay. But the rules, like I said, once a week only. Okay.
Send in WhatsApp the link.
Send in WhatsApp. Can.
Oh,
Send in WhatsApp.
yeah, Google Doc link.
Oh, yeah. The link, I don't have any problem, but you can send me anywhere you want, WhatsApp or email to me. I'm okay with that. But you use Google document lah. You don't send me like a word. So like some of you send me in a word, right? So it's hard for me to send back to you guys too. So I think yeah, that's all good. That's how I think I can help you with your mark, because I don't want any of you guys to fail in my class. Yeah, 15 should be okay. So yeah, that's how. Before we end, do you have any question regarding your assignment or your lecture note or exercise tutorial? Anything?
Miss, can you check our group, the new group punya functional requirements, because have
Huh?
to functional requirements my group.
Jonathan, I
Yeah,
haven't. I think
yeah.
I haven't
Wong
responded to
will
you.
yeah. Wong will add you to our document.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, Miss.
Okay, boss. Okay. Kelvin Shock. Okay. Okay. Cool. I will check later. But each of your link, if you already sent to me, I think you need to remind me. You need to notify me in WhatsApp so that I will check on that. Okay. So I think today we can dismiss. Okay, guys. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Miss.